Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar led by Industry Forum. And today's topic will be FMEA and the meetings and how to drive them effectively. My name is Bianca Werkele, and shortly we will deep dive into that, but just let's give 2-3 minutes for everybody to join, and we will rock and roll. I think we can start. So welcome again to this webinar, and I do hope that you will find it interesting. And mind you that at the end of the webinar, you can post questions, you can write them in the chat. I do hope that you can hear me all right, and as well see me and see the screen quite well. So let's talk about Industry Forum. So Industry Forum is the training arm of Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders. And Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders is the oldest organization as such in the world. So it's older than AIG and it's older than VDA. And we are the training and consultancy arm, and we strive to make the motor manufacturer more competitive, and we are delivering trainings and as well do consultancy in terms of core tools, IETF, but as well in terms of improving the industry overall with TPM, Six Sigma, Lean, Kaizen, and so on. So we are encouraging the customer to see how manufacturing can be a driver for competitive advantages. We are doing so many things. So I encourage you to visit our website and find out what else we can do, which is really amazing. So about myself, I'm Bianca Werkele, and I have a background in biochemical engineering with a further specialization in quality management and engineering as master degree. And you might wonder how come that I ended up in the automotive industry. Well, to begin with, my entire career as a professional, I was working in quality across different industries such as pharmaceutical, automotive. And with automotive, I started my journey with Bosch in 2013. And since there, I just perfected my way in the automotive industry. My drive is quality. And with FMEA expertise, I started doing FMEA since 2015. And since then, so 10 years now, I'm full on doing FMEAs. And currently, I'm with Industry Forum training on core tools, FMEAs, IETF, internal auditor, and many others to come. So the key collaborators and companies that I worked in the past, including Bosch, ZF, Norvolt, Polestar, Dietz, Fortescue Zero, and currently with Industry Forum. So let's see what we are talking about in terms of definition of effectiveness. So what exactly does effective mean? If I'm looking at the definition, effectiveness is the capability of producing a desired result or the ability to produce a desired output. How we can measure it? So the best way to measure it is by introducing KPIs. And here are some lists in terms of KPIs, and I put there two groups, some leading KPIs. Leading KPIs will help us understand how the future can look like. Lagging KPIs is just telling us what happened and maybe take some actions. So we have different metrics to look into and different way to measure it based on what we are focusing. And as well, I propose some improvement actions in there. So please take a look further on and choose what is applicable to you. So today I will focus on top 5 reasons why FMEA meetings can be ineffective. And if you ever sat in an FMEA meeting, you will know what I'm talking about. So first, FMEA method knowledge gap. And with the latest AIGVDA introduction in 2019, I find this more and more the issue and the gap. Then with the process or product knowledge gap, which is again a challenge, because if the subject matter expert is not in the room, then we really cannot build up the technical content inside FMEA. As well, we have the time pressure, which can be as well from the meeting length. So if we put a longer meeting, then the turn up and the attendance is really low. Then we have the management pressure. And we will talk about what that means and how we can overcome and how we can have the management on our side. As well, AIGVDA in 2019 is really defining the role of a facilitator, which is really crucial to have an FMEA meeting, which is rewardful and as well meaningful for the entire team. And an unprepared FMEA facilitator can be as well a problem and one of the reasons why the FMEA meeting can be ineffective. Now, if I'm looking at the FMEA knowledge gap, if I'm asking a group, what do you know about FMEA? The ones who have a bit of a knowledge will tell me RPNs or risk priority numbers, which is not in place since 2008. If you look in the AIG 4th edition, it's really clearly highlighted the fact that the RPN should not be the one driving improvements. Anyhow, but this is the industry and we need to look more into that. And this FMEA method knowledge gap more than often can be caused by newly hired people, which can have an idea of what FMEA means, can be totally new hired people, like freshly out of education, and they didn't have a chance to understand what FMEA is and how it is applicable to automotive industry. And as well, when they come from different industries where FMEA is not a thing. Then we have the other bit when we have newly promoted people in that respective job role. So for instance, this is really great when a person is promoted out of the shop floor into more technical roles. We can expect that bit of a knowledge gap. And as well, when we have a startup companies, I don't know how many of you worked in a startup company, but what can I tell you is that you have a variety of people and different knowledges in terms of FMEA, but they need to sit together and create a document as such. So now I will talk about how we can overcome this FMEA knowledge gap. Firstly, if you have a facilitator and a more knowledgeable person, the best way is to conduct brief trainings or refreshers in terms of FMEA fundamentals before the meeting, so everybody is kind of on the same page. Provide reference material, FME templates, rating criteria, examples to help the participants to be more prepared and engaged. As well, by assigning a knowledgeable facilitator to clarify doubts in a real time. This is really, really crucial. When a team has a question, they don't know how to rate, they don't know what to put in, what is the function analysis all about. This facilitator can smoothen the way and clarify some of these questions. Then the other problem could be the product process knowledge gap then we can have in the team, and that is mainly because of two reasons. So a person came unprepared to the FMEA meeting, so doesn't know what to expect, was rushing to the meeting, and maybe even didn't want to be in that meeting. And then, therefore, they won't fully on board, prepare with the technical communication, with the technical knowledge, and therefore the FMEA meeting is unsuccessful. Or the other more often case is when the subject matter experts send somebody else to cover. And in that particular case, the person doesn't know what to expect, was not briefed about that, what is the task of the FMEA, what should that person bring into the meeting. So that's that type of problems. It's really dragging the meeting, dragging the time, it's delaying the project milestones in terms of FMEA deliveries, and that's one of the problems that maybe you can really face. Then lack of experience. So we all started somewhere, so we were not born knowledgeable. And in this particular case, maybe that particular person doesn't have such a wide technical experience. So it's not that the person doesn't want to be involved or doesn't want to participate, but basically maybe it lacks that knowledge, it lacks that experience, and maybe doesn't have the proper training. And therefore, we need to be patient and we need to find solution. And here is my proposal in terms of how we can cover that. So by ensuring a cross-functional team participation, including design, manufacturing, quality, and other subject matter experts, because in that way, somebody will have an idea and then they can take that point and make it more clear. And this is how usually I overcome this type of issues. Then I as well send pre-meeting data. So where I'm asking them to participate, to come prepared, to have all the technical documents, even parts, or drawings, 3D models and whatnot. So therefore, we can have a more insight discussion, more technical discussion during the FMEA meeting. And as well, if you have access to the past FMEAs, field data, failure reports, like AD problem solving, you can as well drive the discussion from there. Even have a trip to the shop floor if necessary. And as well, don't be afraid to escalate if necessary. I know that is not nice, but sometimes it's necessary, and I use this as a backup solution if I have this type of scenarios when I cannot progress with the FMEA meeting because of such a gap in terms of product or process. The other killer for an FMEA meeting is the time pressure and the meeting length. So more than often, the same person who must be in the FMEA meeting must take care about other things, such as maybe testing, such as process validation, line validation, working station validation. There are other really pressuring moments in the shop floor or in the development area when that person cannot sit for hours and hours on FMEA meetings. So therefore, always I try to find a balance, check with the person, what is the best days, what are the best quiet times when I can put these FMEA meetings on reoccurrence. Yeah. And as well, for instance, if the FMEA meeting is too long, what means too long, we will see later, but when it's like 4 hours, 5 hours in a day, I would not expect the engineering sitting in a meeting as long. And anyhow, I find that even with long meetings, after 1.5, 2 hours, the engagement and attention, it's really going on the slippery slope, and therefore the result and the outcome, it's like I would have if I put a shorter meeting, like 1.5, 2 hours long. So as I said, we need to, in this particular aspect, we need to set a realistic agenda, break the FMEA into focus sessions rather than rushing through it. So we need to, as I like to say, slice the elephant in a more manageable bite size, because otherwise it would be just overwhelming and the people would just not turn up. Then the time management and keeping discussion on a track, avoid getting stuck on minor details. So avoid analysis paralysis. If you feel that you cannot agree on that topic, put it on the open point list and move on. And then come back later when you've done more of in-depth research, and these things can be really easily overcome and overpassed. And again, assigning pre-work. So assigning like initial risk criteria, which maybe you have established at your company level, or go to the one of the standards, depending what the company is using, and really be familiar with those ratings criteria, because then this will avoid debating about those rating scoring. And as well, brainstorm on failure modes and failure effects and failure causes to optimize the meeting time. Because in the meeting, you should be really brief and understand. So again, a trip to the shop floor is really, really helpful. And as well, as I said, setting a reasonable meeting length. On my experience, I've seen that an hour is too short, because usually 15-20 minutes is just remembering what we've done last time. The most effective meetings are between 1.5 hour and 2 hours long. And that's the most work that is being done, because everybody is focusing, know that after 1.5 hour, 2 hours are out of that meeting, and they're really, really focusing. So that's the best way to drive in these regards. Then management pressure. So I can talk ages about this one. So for instance, when we have a poor management practice, it will create significant stress, and often a key reason why FMEA becomes just a mere tick box exercise rather than a meaningful and effective tool. I read on LinkedIn a while ago, one of my fellow colleagues was writing that the management sometimes think that FMEA can take a trip to the moon and back. And well, it's not like that. And as well, if I'm reading in the FMEA AIGVD handbook, it's clearly written that the FMEA process can take a considerable time to complete, and the commitment of the required resources is vital. Active participation of the product and process owner, and commitment from the senior management, and commitment to their time is important for the successfully developed FMEA. And the senior management carries the responsibility for the application of the FMEA. So that's really clearly written in the AIGVDA handbook. Then how we can deal with this type of thing? We need to educate our leadership in the value of very thorough FMEA exercise, because if we just skim through it, we might overlook this type of risks, and that's not looking good on ourselves. Then we need to involve the management in the key revision points, because they carry the responsibility for accepting the risk and the risk minimization actions that were identified during the FMEA meeting. And as well, we need to demonstrate the impact of a detailed FMEA by linking it to cost saving and defect prevention and even safety improvements. Then I talked about the FMEA facilitator and what means an unprepared facilitator. An unprepared facilitator is a person that lacks the soft skill to act as a facilitator and doesn't have a good understanding of the FMEA method. So it's not in the middle of the action, and sometimes it's an unprepared moderator can be an experienced person, but is not sensing the environment that he or she is in. Then what means a prepared facilitator? A prepared facilitator helps with the group brainstorm and refine ideas effectively, address disagreements, steer the discussion towards resolutions, focus on facts rather than opinions, prevent off-topic conversation, as I said, avoid this analysis paralysis, and navigate the technical difficulties like last-minute changes or conflict the smooth way out of it, and continuous improve techniques based on inputs. Adjust facilitation style based on the group dynamics, and as well a strong facilitator guides and not controls. And if I'm looking into AIGVDA, what are the roles that an FMEA facilitator should have? It's like mitigation of conflicts, participation in the team formation, participation in a rough schedule, and so on. So these are the 5 topics that I talked about and offer some solutions. And obviously, there are many other reasons that why an FMEA meeting would fail. Lack of clear objectives and scopes, inappropriate skill set of team for the project, overcomplicated risk assessment, no actionable outcomes, lack of continuity and follow-up, just to name a few. So setting the stage for success, how we can turn the dynamics of outcome around. Firstly, we need to prepare. So understand the why, what, who, how. Adhere to the existing FMEA rules and guidelines. As well, if you don't have internally, there are so many books outside of your company. The latest one is the AIGVDA from 2019. Which is setting a really foundation of the how FMEA should be built. Then as well, stick to your scope of analysis. When you have defined what is inside of your analysis, stick to it and don't go outside of your boundaries. Nevertheless, be consistent. So apply the same consistency throughout the FME documentation. Have regular cross-functional meetings. So for instance, if you have one-to-one with different team members, run at least once a week a cross-functional meeting just to understand where you are, what you have discussed so far, what is covered, what not, and then just running through other subject matter experts and see what they think, if it is understandable. Because mind you, with the AIGVDA FMEA handbook, you need to be true, clear, complete, and realistic. And as well, recognize achievement and give credits. So even a small progress, it's still a progress. Then again, moderation is a communication method that is based upon many different routes and working with and in the group. And the moderation offers some of advantages, like it's an efficient working technique. It is a precise process, and it's leading the team step by step until they reach performance. And it's supported by the goal. That's really, really important. And as well, it's a simple fact that the group tend to run into purely verbal discussion without any results if you don't have a moderator, a facilitator that will step in, and as well some dominant persons will suppress the more shy people, and maybe the shy people won't have a voice. So as a moderator, you need to give them the voice back to everybody. So we have some pre-meeting preparation. So we need to define the objectives. And here I refer to the 5 T's in the GVDA handbook: intent, time, team, task, and tool. And define the objectives really, really clearly. As well, assemble the right team. Who is the subject matter expert that you would need? Review past FMEAs. Gather relevant data. Prepare the FMEA templates. Assign pre-work. So all of these, if you do them in the right way and in the right time, it will quicken the FMEA meetings. So we'll make it more leaner, more slicker, if you like. Then again, during the FMEA meeting, so you need to start with clear guidelines. If you have a company guideline, please adhere to that. If not, maybe it's time for you to think to develop one. Maybe briefly explain what it's all about. What is FMEA? What type of FMEA methodology you will follow? What are the rating criteria? What is the rating criteria for severity, occurrence detection? Maybe you have your own company way of rating these. And as well can be product specific, can be system specific, or process specific. Then as well, identify all these cause-effect relationship, if you like. So all of these. Define the scope and target of the meeting. So again, if you don't define properly the scope, you can end up discussing something that is outside of your boundaries. As well, use open questions, because open questions will lead to more questions. It leads to a discussion. It leads to gather the ideas. Focus on the subject and prevent off-topic discussion. Sometimes these are bound to happen, but don't overkill them. So let the team discuss for about 5 minutes off topic, but then bring them back in the technical mindset, in the technical environment to start discussing more content in terms of FMEA. And find resolutions and mitigate conflicts. Sometimes the more heated discussions are happening in an FMEA meeting. And I think some of you, if you participated in the FMEA meeting, you would agree with me. And as well, after the meeting concluded, distribute the meeting notes with the key takeaway and action items. So maybe you identify some actions during the FMEA meeting. So please distribute that to the relevant person. As well, track the action items. As you know, you need to put a deadline. Make sure that you track it, and then resume and have a follow-up meeting with FMEA once that action was implemented to really see if was successful or not. As well, FMEA is a living document, so constantly review it and update. And as well, schedule more follow-ups. The more, the better. So again, we are talking about AIGVDA, where we need to prioritize high risk item, maybe focus on high and mediums with action priority 10 and 9, which they need a management approval and management communication. And as well, you need to ensure that the responsible persons are aware, if they were not in the meeting, when a corrective action was discussed. And remember, the FMEA is not one-man show, it's a team activity. The team is a strength and it's a success for the successful implementation of the FMEA method, ultimately. And some notes. So prepare for the meeting. That's my go-to, my mantra. Have a checklist if you think at the beginning until you work your way around your style, because everyone has its own style. And just make sure that you encompass all the important bits, like the technical documentation, like the results from the internal or external issues, and the feedbacks from customers and whatnot. Then as well, understand the dynamic of the group. More than often, you end up with two persons that maybe are in a conflict outside of the meeting and they need to work together. So be mindful of that. And the other bit, FME is not everybody's cup of tea. So you need to understand as well that. I know that it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's a must in the automotive industry. So there is no way around it. So you better like it. Then at the beginning, I would encourage as many face-to-face meetings as often as possible. I know that we are in after the pandemic where everybody work from home, but as well, we are humans, we are sociable, so we need this type of face-to-face, especially at the beginning of a project, especially when you started with FMEA work. I would encourage you to meet face to face because it's quicker, and then obviously later on you can migrate towards virtual meetings and whatnot, but now you know each other and you know what to expect. As well, lead by example. So if you are late, they will be late. If you are bored, they will be bored. So they will kind of match your energy, if you like. And as well, don't let your personal feelings get in your way. Remember, you are not the target. Maybe that person had a bad day. You don't know what is happening in the backstage. So just be professional, keep your distance, keep your posture, and don't let any of the negatives get in your way. And as well, we as persons, we have likes and dislikes, and just be mindful of that. Be passionate. Be passionate about FMEA. Be passionate of what you are doing, because that passion will be translated and will be embedded in the team that is participating. Be passionate about what you are doing. As well, focus on the positive. Because if you are always in a complaining mode, it's not helping. But when you see the positive, when you see little achievements, when you see more things were done than you have expected, so focus on those ones and let the positive be your driver. Again, listen without interrupting. It's not about you in the FMEA meeting, it's about the team. So with that, I concluded my presentation, and it's now time for questions. Please put them in the chat and we will answer them as we will go along. So let's see what questions we have here. So we have a question: can you suggest any material which provide practical example for a supplemental FMEA? Oh, nice. Monitoring and system response from AIG, because I think it's really important to use it, especially when software involves in your product. Yeah, well, FMEA MSR, it's not as much widely used, if you know what I mean. But recently I've been to FMEA Congress in Vienna, and there was a really good example of how an OEM and a supplier were working together and find the ways how to move forward. And as well, there are some materials out there, and I will come back to you in a separate email, and I will lead you to that. Can you explain the relationship between PFME and DFME through a concrete example? So this webinar was for the FMEA meeting themselves. It's not about the technical concrete, but stay tuned because I can explain that as well. Just to make it brief, the best linkage between a DFMEA and the PFMEA is through the characteristics. So what characteristics from the product are covered in the DFMEA and you are producing them? So that's the best connection. And then the other question is, does special characteristic have to be defined in each DFME or PFMEA? So definitely it's a must for PFMEA. However, in the AIG VDA, the special characteristic column from DFMEA, it's not longer there. It's called a filter column, and within the filter column you can identify potential special characteristics, you can identify lessons learned, you can identify so many other things besides special characteristic. But definitely the special characteristic column is inside PFMEA as a must. Why do people overcomplicate the risk assessment? Because it's really, really easy to trap yourself into analysis paralysis and go down to a rabbit hole when you don't have an FMEA facilitator on site to drag you out of that. And usually they found themselves going through the route of maybe a supplier, problem, or these type of things where are not defined in their scope of analysis. So that's why it's really, really important to really define your scope of the FME analysis and stick to it. Will be the recording available? Yeah, I suppose yes. Okay. There's not any questions. Good. So if you have any other questions, please fire away. So another question, what do you mean by a clear objective? Can you please explain a bit more? So clear objective means if I'm looking into a design FMEA, I'm looking into a way of defining my design responsibility and stick to it. So if it is not my design responsibility, I won't put it in my objective to do a DFMEA analysis on it. Likewise, if I'm not the process owner in the PFMEA, I won't make my scope to analyze somebody else's process. I'm just sticking with what I'm responsible of, because that's where my expertise is. You're more than welcome. You are more than welcome. So I will reach out for the ones I said about the FMEA MSR. So FMEA MSR, it's really a strange topic. If you, as an organization, haven't understood it properly, then you would tend to say it's not necessary, because anyhow, the fault free analysis will cover that with the functional safety and this objective. However, I can see the benefits, especially when there is a possibility to reduce the severity 10, because you have that possibility by performing an FMEA MSR. But I will come back with more explanation on those ones. I do hope that you enjoyed this webinar. Stay tuned, more to follow on different other subjects, and as well we will have a follow-up with an FMEA webinar where we will discuss the special characteristics from the design to the process. What means if we have all the severities 9 and 10, would that mean all critical characteristics? So we will cover that in the follow-up webinar. And maybe we will have a surprise guest. We shall see. Thank you so much for your participation. And hear us next time, I suppose. Have a wonderful end of the week. I hope that it's cool, because here where we are, it's boiling hot. Stay cool, everybody. Bye.